The case I'm going to share with you today took place on Jeju Island, located in the southwest sea of South Korea. This is the country's largest island, renowned for its stunning natural scenery and a major tourist attraction. It's considered an ideal destination for tourism and relaxation. In Jeju City, located in the northeast of Jeju Island, there was a woman named Ko Yoo-jong, born on February 2, 1983. At the time, she was 36 years old, 5'3" tall, and weighed 110 pounds. Ko Yoo-jong had two younger brothers. Her parents divorced shortly after the three children were born. Her father ran a car rental business on Jeju Island, and the family was wealthy, owning properties both on Jeju Island and in Gimpo City. After the divorce, her father remarried, and Ko, along with her two brothers, lived with their father and stepmother. Ko Yoo-jong was intelligent and had an outstanding academic record. Her classmates described her as having a normal personality, but being sweet and lively. After graduating from high school, she was accepted into Jeju National University, the best university on Jeju Island and one of the top 20 universities in South Korea. During this time, Ko participated in a volunteer event on campus, where she met Kang, who attended the same university and was the same age as her. They shared similar interests and gradually developed feelings for each other, leading to a beautiful love story that lasted 6 years. They were inseparable, often volunteering abroad and traveling together. After some time of dating, the couple decided to register their marriage in June 2013. Finally, when they turned 31, they held a grand wedding on Jeju Island. After the wedding, they embarked on a blissful honeymoon. However, being in love and being married are two entirely different things. On the last day of their trip, just as they were about to fly home, they had a heated argument at the airport. The issue arose because the plane was about to take off, but despite her husband's urging, Ko insisted on going to the duty-free shop to shop. At that moment, the final boarding call had already been announced, and after a futile argument, Kang, angry, wanted to board the plane alone. However, according to airline regulations, since they had round-trip tickets for two, both passengers needed to board the plane at the same time. Reluctantly, Kang went to find his wife, but by the time they returned, they had missed their flight. Once they returned to Jeju Island, the tension between them temporarily subsided, and they began their new life together. At that time, Kang was pursuing his PhD and didn't have a full-time job. His primary income came from scholarships and part-time work. Ko, on the other hand, came from a wealthy family and didn't need to work. Her father would occasionally give her money. However, she spent lavishly, and Kang frequently complained about her excessive spending on unnecessary things. Moreover, their different family backgrounds led to changes in their roles within the household. Ko never took on any housework. Every day, Kang would work in the lab, and when he returned home, he had to clean up the trash in the house, the kitchen, and so on. Since becoming husband and wife, the couple began experiencing intense conflicts a year after getting married. In November 2014, they had a son. Raising a child added significant expenses, leading to a financial crisis for the couple. Ko was dissatisfied with their situation, and her temper grew increasingly irritable. Whenever things didn't go her way, she would scold her husband and, at times, even physically assault him. On one occasion, Ko was so displeased with something Kang did that she threw a cell phone at him, injuring his eye. Although they had dated for 6 years before getting married and had a certain understanding of each other's personalities, after the wedding, Ko seemed to become a completely different person, aggressive and unable to control her temper. Kang's friends noticed that he often had scars on his body. When one of his friends asked him about it, Kang explained everything. The friend was puzzled and asked, "Did she ever behave like this during the 6 years you were dating?" Kang firmly replied that she had not, and he expressed that it must be postpartum depression, as she was under a lot of stress and would eventually get better. So, he chose to endure his wife's unreasonable beatings without resisting. However, things did not improve. Once, Ko picked up a sharp object and held their 1-year-old son in her arms while threatening Kang. Witnessing this scene terrified him. After 3 years of marriage, they continued to face ongoing instability in their relationship. Kang initially thought that his patience would eventually resolve things, but in the end, he could no longer tolerate his wife's behavior and decided to initiate a divorce. The missing person is identified as Kang, 36 years old, recently divorced and living alone. 2 days ago, on May 25, 2019, he drove alone to meet his son. According to the investigation, 2 years after the divorce, Ko harbored resentment toward her ex-husband. Kang had repeatedly requested to see his son, but Ko always refused for various reasons. She even ignored his phone calls, and when Kang showed up at her house, she stubbornly refused to open the door. Despite living frugally to pursue his PhD, Kang never failed to send Ko 400,000 won, approximately $300 each month. On holidays and his son's birthdays, Kang always sent gifts. He missed his son dearly and longed to see him every day. However, for reasons unknown, Ko consistently refused to allow any meetings. For Kang, the 2 years without seeing his son left him feeling restless and agitated. Since Ko persistently prevented him from seeing his child, he had no choice but to file a lawsuit with the court in hopes of gaining visitation rights. The court subsequently ordered Ko to allow Kang to meet his son by May 25, 2019. Reluctantly, Ko agreed, though she was uneasy about it. On May 25, 2019, Ko and Kang arranged to meet. She would bring their son to an amusement park in Saepo City, on the southern part of Jew Island, to meet him. This was the first time Kang would see his son after 2 years of separation. Kang's younger brother reported, around 8 p.m., "I called my brother, but there was no answer. At 9:25 p.m. I sent a message asking if the outing had ended. By 10:25 p.m. he replied, saying, 'It's done. I have some work to do at the lab, and I'm on my way there. My phone is about to die. Since then, I haven't been able to contact him, and his phone has been turned off.' The family assumed Kang was still at the university lab. However, 2 days later, on May 27, 2019, when Kang's younger brother went to his school to look for him, he discovered that Kang had not been. Kang had not been in the lab or at the university for the past 2 days. After a preliminary investigation, the police believed that Kang might have had a dispute with his ex-wife during the visit with his son, which led him to turn off his cell phone. They attempted to contact Kang's ex-wife to understand the situation. When questioned by the police, she appeared calm and confident. She stated, "On May 25, 2019, I took my son to meet my ex-husband. We went to the amusement park and later checked into a pre-booked guest house. However, that night, when we went to bed, he tried to make unwanted advances toward me. After I resisted strongly, he tried to leave through the back door. My son and I checked out the next day and left. I didn't see him again after that." Based on Ko's account, the police believed that Kang might have gone into hiding after the incident with his ex-wife and would return once the tension subsided. However, Kang's younger brother disagreed with their assessment, so he decided to personally investigate the guest house where his brother had stayed that day. He discovered that Ko had rented a guest house without surveillance cameras, but fortunately, there was a camera about 30 meters away from the guest house. With the permission of the nearby property owner, he obtained the surveillance footage, which contradicted Ko's story. Strangely, the video only showed his brother entering the guest house with no footage of him leaving. Additionally, he found that Ko had not been truthful, as the surveillance video revealed that Ko did not check out the next day, as she claimed. Instead, she stayed an additional day and a half before leaving. The guest house owner also mentioned that Ko had requested not to be disturbed during their stay. This further alarmed Kang's brother, giving him a very bad feeling. He immediately handed the surveillance video over to the police, which showed Ko and her son leaving on the morning of May 26, 2019, but there was no sign of Kang. Later, Ko returned to the guest house at noon on May 27, 2019. She left the guest house alone, carrying her luggage. Upon reviewing the video, the police realized that Kang's disappearance might not be as straightforward as they initially thought. Recognizing the shortcomings in the initial investigation, the case was immediately handed over to the Criminal Investigation Department. The investigators went to the guest house and conducted a luminol test in the room where Kang had stayed. Luminol is a synthetic organic compound that can detect bloodstains that have been cleaned and are invisible to the naked eye. Through the luminol test, investigators found a large amount of blood in the living room, bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom of the guest house. They also discovered some blood stains that were visible to the naked eye. Forensic tests revealed that the blood belonged to Kang, Ko's ex-husband. Additionally, they found traces of sleeping pills in Kang's blood. Based on the evidence gathered, Ko became a prime suspect in the crime. The police then quickly raided Ko's residence in Changju City. During the search, they also found suspicious items in her car. However, Ko was not at home, and the investigators continued to monitor and stake out the area. At 10:32 a.m. the following day, on June 1, 2019, Ko appeared in the parking lot of her residence. The police immediately arrested Ko on suspicion of premeditated murder. On that day, her right hand was bandaged, and she was holding a cardboard box, preparing to dispose of some trash. Ko denied the accusation of murdering her ex-husband on the spot. However, on the way to the police station, a female officer asked Ko, "Did you kill your ex-husband?" Ko calmly responded, "I'm killing him." The police found some dismemberment tools and a blood-stained towel in the trash at her apartment. Test results showed that the blood on the towel belonged to Kang, and traces of sleeping pills were also found in his blood. 2 weeks before the incident, on May 10, 2019, Ko began using her phone and computer to search for keywords such as murder tools, dismemberment, sleeping pills, and human bone weight. A week before the incident, on May 17, 2019, Ko claimed to suffer from insomnia and received a prescription for sleeping pills from a hospital 20 kilometers from her home. She purchased the sleeping pills at a nearby pharmacy and then drove to her hometown on Jeju Island via ferry. 5 days before the incident, on May 20, 2019, Ko contacted her ex-husband and intentionally booked a room at a remote, secluded B&B without surveillance cameras. On May 22, 2019, she bought knives, brushes, cleaning supplies, and other items at a supermarket on Jeju Island, even making sure to collect loyalty points during checkout. 2 days before the incident, on the night of May 23, 2019, she attended a party with friends, chatting cheerfully, with no one suspecting that a meticulously planned murder was about to unfold. On the day of the incident, at 8:30 a.m., on May 25, 2019, Kang dressed up, took the gift he had bought for his son, and left the house. He was as excited as if he had won the lottery, thrilled to finally see his beloved son after years of separation. Kang drove alone from his home in Jeju City. Dashcam footage from his car showed him driving at 9:30 a.m. in a very good mood, even humming a happy tune as he went. He could be heard murmuring to himself, "I'm going to see my son." His destination was an amusement park in Seipo City, on the southern part of Jeju Island. At 11:30 a.m. Kang arrived at the amusement park and met his son, just as he had hoped. They had a joyful time together, even though Ko harbored resentment toward Kang and had a murder plot in mind. Outwardly, however, she maintained a calm and gentle demeanor, showing no signs of anything unusual. Ko's indifferent psychological state shocked the police during the investigation and misled the direction of their inquiry. By 3 p.m., the three of them left the amusement park and went shopping at a supermarket in Seipo City until 4:20 p.m. After a fun-filled day, the three of them got into Ko's car and headed to a guest house in Yeonju City, which Ko had booked in advance. At 9 p.m., Ko put her son to bed first, then pretended to be caring by cooking dinner for Kang. However, this wasn't just an ordinary curry. It was laced with a large amount of sleeping pills. Feeling drowsy, Kang went to bed early, unaware that the moment he fell asleep would also be the moment his life would end. While Kang was in a daze, Ko suddenly attacked him with a knife. Bloodstain analysis at the scene indicated that, before he died, Kang realized Ko was attacking him and attempted to resist. But unfortunately, the sleeping pills had taken a strong effect, leaving him powerless. Kang tragically died at the hands of his ex-wife. At 9:30 p.m., Kang's younger brother sent a text message to his brother's phone, asking, "Has your trip ended today?" At that time, Ko was in the room, thinking of ways to cover up her crime. At 10:30 p.m. Ko took Kang's phone and, mimicking his tone and texting style, replied to the message. The day after the incident, on the morning of May 26, 2019, Ko took her son to her parents' house, then returned to the guest house to dispose of the body. She checked out the next day at noon. Surveillance footage shows her taking several garbage bags and a suitcase from the room, loading them into the trunk of her car, and disposing of them at a garbage collection station. Around 1 p.m. Ko checked into another guest house and removed a large suitcase from her car. The surveillance video showed that she was still holding Kang's phone while chatting with her friend, as if nothing had happened. At 3 p.m. Ko changed clothes and left the hotel. When she returned at 6 p.m., the police noticed that her hand was now wrapped in bandages. According to medical records, Ko had visited a hospital to treat stab wounds. The injury on the outside of her right arm was particularly severe and required stitches. In other words, during that time, Ko had continued dismembering parts of the body in the room and had accidentally injured herself. 2 days after the incident, on May 28, 2019, Ko went back to the supermarket where she had previously purchased the tools to return the unused items, including a bottle of cleaning detergent. She also bought 10 special garbage bags, a backpack, rubber gloves, perfume, and cosmetics at the supermarket. At 8:30 p.m., Ko drove to the ferry terminal and purchased a ticket from Jew Island to Wando Island. The surveillance camera recorded her entire ticket purchase process. After an hour on the ferry, Ko took several unidentified bags from the suitcase and threw them into the sea when no one was watching. She then used her phone to order a large cutting knife, with the delivery address being her apartment in Gimpo City. At 11 p.m. the ferry docked, and Ko drove through the night to Gimpo, a satellite city of Seoul. The next morning, she went to a supermarket to buy dust-proof clothing. After returning home, Ko continued the process of dismembering the body, then disposed of the garbage bags at the apartment complex's waste collection station. The police attempted to trace the movement of the garbage bags and later found some bones at a waste collection company in Ko-in-sha. However, the bones were later confirmed to be those of animals. On May 30, 2019, Ko drove to her husband's home in Cheongju. She confided in her current husband, saying, "While I was on Jew Island, my ex-husband almost assaulted me. She even showed him to text messages allegedly sent by Kong. I'm sorry I got so worked up last night. For the sake of my career, could you please not let this get out?" Of course, both of these messages were actually sent by Ko using Kang's phone. At the time, Ko was also injured, so her husband, Hong, believed her story. In a fit of anger, he immediately called Kong, but his phone was turned off. Hong then proceeded to call Kang's younger brother to scold him and accuse his brother of despicable behavior. This incident shows just how cunning and dangerous Ko was. After Ko was arrested, she admitted to killing her ex-husband but insisted that it was an act of self-defense because he tried to assault her, leaving her with no other choice. However, this was only Ko's version of events, without any supporting evidence. Based on the evidence gathered, the police believed that Ko committed a premeditated crime and that her motive was the belief that her ex-husband was interfering with her current marriage. The police suspect that Ko dismembered her ex-husband after killing him and disposed of the body parts in 3 main locations: Jew City, the ferry route between Jew Port and Wando Port, and Gimpo City. The Coast Guard conducted searches in the waters near the ferry route, collecting any floating or washed-up items. Strangely, though, they were unable to find any of Kang's body parts. The police estimate that within just 5 days, Ko traveled across nearly half of South Korea and disposed of the garbage bags containing her ex-husband's body parts at approximately 30 different disposal sites. After the incident was reported by the media, it caused a massive shock wave across South Korea. The public could not believe the cruel and barbaric actions of this woman. Ko's defense attorney initially had to withdraw from the case due to the overwhelming pressure from public opinion. What's even more frightening is that after committing the crime, she calmly went shopping for tools to dispose of the evidence, all while making sure to accumulate loyalty points at the supermarket. She even brazenly returned the unused bottle of bleach to the store. Even experts were astonished, stating that this was far from the behavior of a normal person. They suggested that Ko might suffer from borderline personality disorder, a condition characterized by extreme sensitivity in relationships, emotional instability, and an unclear sense of personal goals or life purpose. Her act of returning the items she had purchased for the crime is considered a possible indication of this disorder. Additionally, her impulsive and violent behavior, such as the brutal murder and dismemberment followed by her ability to remain calm and carry on as if nothing had happened, further supports this theory. Experts believe that borderline personality disorder is often influenced by improper parenting during childhood. A few days after Ko's arrest on June 5, 2019, the Jeju Police Department requested permission from the victim's family to publicly release Ko's personal information. In fact, Ko had always hidden her face in front of the media and insisted that the police not disclose her personal details. She also stated to the police, "I would rather die than have my face exposed because of my son. The police then agreed to conceal her face as much as possible. However, before they could make an official announcement, some internet users discovered and posted Ko's photos and name online. In a short time, the phrase "the evil witch Ko Jong" became infamous across the country and was a trending search topic for several days. On August 27, 2019, Kang's funeral was held at the Jew City Funeral Home. However, his body parts were never found, and at the funeral, his family could only hold a service with 7 strands of hair that the police had collected from his favorite hat, along with some of his personal belongings placed in the coffin. The police concluded that this was a carefully planned murder, but Ko steadfastly maintained that she acted in self-defense. So, who is telling the truth? The police speculated that the victim, Kong, was 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighed 176 pounds, and had a strong build, while the perpetrator, Ko Yoo-jong, was only 5 feet 3 inches and weighed 110 pounds, with a petite frame. It's hard to imagine that a small woman like her could kill a tall and muscular man. The police did not rule out the possibility of an accomplice, but Ko insisted that she committed the crime alone and remained silent about other details of the case. However, at this point, the police took notice of a strange event that might be related to a previous case involving Ko. 2 months before Kang's murder, on Saturday, March 2, 2019, at 10 a.m., Ko's current husband, Hong, woke up in bed and turned to find his son lying face down next to him. When he looked closer, he saw that his son's mouth was bleeding. Hong, in a panic, checked his son and was horrified to find that he was no longer breathing and his heart had stopped. Hong, who worked at the fire department and had some first aid knowledge, quickly performed CPR on his son and asked his wife to call for an ambulance. When the paramedics arrived, his son was pronounced dead. The police then launched an investigation into the incident. It is known that both Ko and Hong were in their second marriages and each had a son from their previous relationships. The 2 boys were the same age. After getting married, Ko and Hong sent their sons to live with their parents and led a private life together. Later, Ko became pregnant, but unfortunately, she suffered a miscarriage. This event was a severe psychological blow to Ko. From that point on, her personality began to change. She became irritable and frequently angry with Hong. On October 18, 2018, Ko and Hong had a heated argument at home. In a fit of anger, Ko left the house. 5 days later, on October 23, 2018, Ko contacted Hong and accused him of posting information about her and her son online. Hong was confused because he had only wanted to share with family and friends that he had 2 sons and didn't want to hide the fact that he had remarried. His explanation did not satisfy Ko, so they continued their Cold War, living separately. A week later, on October 31, 2018, Ko returned home once, while Hong was at work, took the computer from the house, and left again. During their time apart, Hong repeatedly called Ko to try to reconcile. Nearly a month later, on November 14, 2018, after Hong's heartfelt persuasion, Ko decided to return to their home in Cheongju. After returning home, Ko told Hong, "We don't need to have more children. We can bring our sons to live together as a family of 4. Hong was surprised by his wife's suggestion because, after they married, he had often proposed the idea of bringing their 2 boys home, but Ko had always dismissed and rejected it. After coming back home, Ko finally agreed, which made Hong feel that his wife was changing for the better. 3 months later, on February 28, 2019, Hong brought his son to their home in Cheongju, but for some reason, Ko delayed bringing her own son home. Hong was very happy when his son arrived, but on the first night, Ko claimed she wasn't feeling well and suggested that she sleep in a separate room. Hong was understanding, knowing that they had just reunited and would need time to adjust. Sleeping in separate rooms seemed normal, so Hong slept in the master bedroom with his son, while Ko slept alone in the adjacent bedroom. 2 days later, around 8 p.m. on March 1, 2019, Ko prepared curry for dinner. Both Hong and his son enjoyed the curry very much. At 9:45 p.m. Hong's son said he was sleepy, so Hong took him to bed. After his son fell asleep, Hong went back to the living room to read. At that time, Ko brought him a cup of hot tea. Hong enjoyed the tea while reading, feeling relaxed. At midnight, he started to feel sleepy and went to bed, lying down next to his son and quickly falling asleep. The next morning, Hong woke up as usual and saw that it was already 7:30 a.m. because the curtains were still closed. The room was quite dark. He instinctively turned to check on his son, who was still soundly asleep beside him. Since it was a Saturday and he didn't have to work, Hong decided to sleep in until 10 a.m. When he woke up, he discovered that his son had passed away. Following the incident, the police interrogated both Ko and Hong. Hong told the police, "The night before, my son ate curry and played with me for a while before going to bed. The next morning, I found him deceased." Ko stated, "That night, I didn't sleep in the same room as my husband and his son, so I don't know what happened in that room, nor do I know why the boy suddenly vomited a lot of blood and died." After the incident, Ko was quickly ruled out as a suspect, while Hong remained the primary person of interest for the Chengdu City Police. Some investigators believed that he had not performed CPR on his son. However, the paramedics who arrived at the scene that day confirmed that when they arrived, Hong was indeed performing CPR on his son. Hong was investigated 5 times by the police in connection with his son's death and even agreed to a polygraph test, which he passed successfully. The autopsy report indicated that the cause of death was asphyxiation, and there was no mention of any drugs or toxins in the body. That night, no one else was in the house except the couple, and they had no apparent motive to harm their son. After some time investigating, the police announced the closure of the case and concluded that Hong had accidentally placed his leg on his son's back while sleeping for an extended period, causing the boy to suffocate and die in his sleep. The incident is estimated to have occurred around 5 a.m. Hong woke up once around 7:30 a.m., at which point his son had already died, but due to the dim lighting in the room, he didn't notice. It wasn't until 10 a.m., when he fully woke up, that he realized something was wrong. Unfortunately, after Ko's ex-husband was murdered, Hong started to have more thoughts and became frightened. He recalled that Ko had served him and his son curry for dinner, just like when she planned to kill Kong. Not only that, but she also gave him a cup of tea, after drinking which Hong gradually felt sleepy. Reflecting on the situation, Hong was shocked and said, "I'm not sure if Ko put sleeping pills in the curry, but it's too strange to dismiss as a coincidence. My son fell asleep 2 hours after eating the curry." The investigation revealed that 3 months before his son's death, Ko had purchased some sleeping pills in Chengdu to treat her insomnia. This was during the time when Ko had left home and then returned. There were rumors that when Hong woke up, he found his leg on top of his son, which implied that Hong admitted his negligence led to his son's death. However, Hong stated, "I never said that," and pointed out that even the description of the bloodstains, the police's statements, and his own account didn't match. Hong claimed there was so much blood on the bed that it soaked into the blanket and mattress. It looked very unusual, but the police never paid attention to that evidence. Even after the investigation ended, they allowed Ko to bring the blankets and mattress back into the house, but now all those items have been discarded by Ko. Hong expressed doubts about the autopsy results for his son. According to the autopsy, there was a straight indentation on the boy's back. Hong argued that if he had placed his leg on his son's back, the indentation would have been diagonal, not straight. At that time, the police did not provide the final and complete autopsy report. It wasn't until June 1, 2019, when Ko was arrested, that Hong received the full and final autopsy report for his son. Amid public pressure, the Jeju City Police reopened the investigation into Hong's son's death. Investigators went to the Jeju City prison to interrogate Ko. Faced with police questions, Ko firmly denied any involvement in the death of her stepson. So, can an adult accidentally suffocate a child while sleeping? The answer is yes, but certain conditions must be met. First, the adult must be in a deep sleep. The next condition is that the child must be very small or particularly weak, unable to resist external pressure. Previously, the investigation concluded that Hong's left leg pressed on his son while he slept on his side, causing the boy to suffocate. However, Hong stated that when he sleeps, he keeps a certain distance from his son. Even if he were to turn over in his sleep, he might only place one leg on his son, not his entire leg. Hong is 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighs 176 pounds, while his son was 3 feet tall and weighed 53 pounds. The maximum weight of Hong's entire left leg pressing on a part of his son would be about 15 pounds. That weight would be distributed across the contact area between his thigh and his son's back, as well as the contact area between the boy's upper body and the mattress. The distribution of weight reduces the impact on critical areas of the child, such as the nose, mouth, or chest. Therefore, experts believe that the likelihood of the child suffocating under that amount of pressure is very low, unless the child was drugged or had his nose and mouth pressed into the mattress, preventing him from moving. If that's the case, then this was not an accidental death, but a carefully planned murder. According to the latest autopsy report on Hong's son, there was a small bruise on the child's back, believed to be caused by strong external force. Based on the shape of the bloodstain on the boy's face, it appears that this external force occurred after the child had already died, as there were no signs of struggle or movement that would have smeared the blood. If Hong, who was sleeping in the room, is ruled out as the culprit, then the only other possible perpetrator is Ko, who was sleeping in another room that night. She did not sleep but waited for Hong and his son to fall asleep before taking action. According to the investigation, a week before Hong's son died, Ko had searched for the keyword suffocation accident online. In the early morning of the incident, Ko didn't sleep but posted a message on social media saying, "I want to sell some excess baby items." When questioned by the police again, Ko stated, "I woke up at 7 a.m., took a shower, and then, Ko turned on the computer to book a flight." If Ko went to the room with the computer, she would have had to walk past the bedroom where Hong and his son were sleeping. That day, the bedroom door was wide open, and by that time, Hong's son had been dead for several hours. When questioned about this, Ko said, "I saw them both sleeping, so I didn't go inside, and I didn't notice anything unusual in the bedroom all night." The police then raised a suspicion, assuming Ko was the perpetrator and had put sleeping pills in the curry the night before. Why didn't the forensic doctors detect them? Regarding this, Hong provided the police with a new clue. When Ko was in college, she studied biology and might have known how to make the sleeping pills undetectable. Before the incident, she had dyed Hong's hair, and hair dyeing to some extent could affect drug testing in the body. Despite reopening the investigation and all suspicions pointing to Ko, there was insufficient evidence to charge her. Since Ko's arrest on June 1, 2019, she has undergone more than 10 court trials. Ko firmly denied any involvement in the death of her stepson, only admitting to killing her ex-husband, claiming it was an act of self-defense. On February 20, 2020, the lower court convicted Ko Yu-jong of murdering her ex-husband and sentenced her to life imprisonment. On July 15, 2020, the appellate court upheld Ko's life sentence. In November 2020, the Supreme Court once again upheld the life sentence in Kang's case. From start to finish, no parts of his body were ever found, but Ko was ultimately convicted based on a chain of evidence formed from a series of other pieces of evidence. This case has been regarded as a classic example of a nobody case in the history of South Korean crime. Following the incident, Hong filed for divorce from Ko and demanded she pay 30 million won, approximately $22,500 in alimony. Hong won the case and divorced Ko in October 2020. As for whether Ko killed Hong's son, from a judicial perspective, the evidence seems insufficient, and perhaps only that wicked woman knows the truth. From this case, we cannot deny one thing: modern society brings many pressures to people's lives. If someone develops distorted perceptions or feels they can no longer control their emotions, they should seek help from those around them in a timely manner. Otherwise, a distorted personality will only lead a person further down the path of crime. Like Ko, she single-handedly destroyed her own life and even the lives of her entire family. Her parents and brother will also be despised, hated, and perhaps shunned by society. They can no longer live peacefully in their current lives and may have to move far away to start over in a place where no one knows them. This concludes today's video from Crime Documentary Files. Thank you for watching. You can continue exploring more cases by clicking on the video icons on the screen. Goodbye, and see you next time. In 2003, a serial murder case in Beijing shocked the whole country. In just half a year, a total of 6 men were killed. They died tragically, with their genitals brutally cut off by the killer. After in-depth investigation, the police found that all 6 victims were homosexuals who liked to go to gay bars and had a kink for BDSM. Soon, the Beijing Municipal Public Security Bureau identified the suspect as a man named Li Yijong, who was only 23 years old. He used to be a student at the Beijing Institute of Technology. So, what led this academically gifted man to become a criminal? Hello, welcome to the Crime Documentary Files channel. At 9 p.m. on March 19, 2003, Yan Yuan's parents called their son, who worked away in Beijing, as usual. After a long period of a busy tone, they decided to call his landline, but it wasn't picked up either. Still, they thought their son had gone to bed, so they didn't think too much of it, even though they were a bit confused. They called Yan Yuan again after 2 days, but still didn't get any answer. The worried parents had to take the train to Beijing overnight and arrived at their son's residence in Haidian district. As soon as they entered the door, they saw a scene that they could not unsee for the rest of their lives. They found the deceased Yan Yuan tied up with knife wounds all over his body. They called the police in panic and with great sadness. The police arrived at the scene swiftly and investigated the fingerprints and modus operandi. The police found that this case was very similar to the previous 5 homicides, which meant that there had been 6 similar cases from the end of 2002 to the beginning of 2003. During the investigation of 6 similar homicides in Beijing, they found that the victims shared 3 common characteristics. They were all homosexual, they enjoyed BDSM, and they were all on same-sex dating sites. Soon after, the police focused on people who had communicated with 5 of the victims on the internet and were also homosexual, thereby narrowing down the pool of suspects. They made progress in less than half a month. On April 4, 2003, through visiting and investigating the daily activities of several victims, the police identified a man named Li Yizhang. In many people's eyes, Li Yizhang was an ordinary employee of Ping An Insurance Company of China, who worked hard for his job and life. He looked like an ordinary person, but his neighbors recalled that his sexual orientation seemed to be unique. He often brought different men home from gay bars, and he was chatting with several victims in QQ chat rooms. Li Yizhang was highly suspicious, so the police quickly launched an operation. They rushed to Li Yizhang's rented flat, which was in the basement of Building 12, Wangnan, Dongjimin, Dongcheng District, Beijing, to arrest him. Unexpectedly, the officers bumped right into Li Yizhang, who was walking his dog. He looked particularly calm when he saw the police and said, "Are you looking for me?" Just like that, Li Yizhang did not resist, did not argue, went home to get some daily necessities, and went to the police station with the officers. After comparison, the police found that the fingerprints at the scene of the murder were consistent with those of Li Yizhang. He quickly admitted that he had killed 6 gay men through online dating. However, the calm Li Yizhang became angry as soon as he talked about the motive and said, "The 4 of them had tied me up and violated me, and I wanted to kill them all to deal with my resentment." In November 2002, Li Yizhang, who attended a party in a gay bar, met 4 strangers. Because they were all gay, Li Yizhang and the 4 of them had a really good conversation at the bar. After Li Yizhang got drunk, the 4 men Li Yizhang was invited to hang out in a private house near East 3rd Road. Perhaps it was because he was drugged halfway, or maybe it was because he was drunk, but Li Yizhang started to fall asleep and became unconscious when he arrived at their place. He woke up in a daze and found himself tied to the heating pipe in the house, with all his clothes stripped off. The 4 men in front of him took turns assaulting and torturing him while he was naked for several hours. After hours of humiliation, Li Yizhang completely broke down. When he got home, he numbly rubbed his body and began to plan a shocking revenge. Li Yizhang started to inquire about the identities of the 4 men, and he initially found the first victim in the bar district of Sanlitun. Li Yizhang followed him to an internet cafe and, when the man got off the computer, Li quickly turned on the computer that had not yet been turned off and got the victim's QQ number. After that, he used the name WSBT to add the man, who had the online profile Paid Slave, and tempted him to meet up. Paid Slave said he liked to be tied up and abused, but Li would need to pay him $1,000 USD if he wanted to have sex. Li Yizhang agreed to the offer and found his residence, a bungalow in Fengtai district, by stalking him before they met offline. He did not immediately retaliate but waited near the bungalow to ensure that Paid Slave was living alone. On January 17, 2003, the two successfully met offline. Upon seeing that it was Li, whom he had previously violated, Paid Slave was initially surprised, but the lure of money made him less cautious. What he didn't expect was that, after they had sex, Li brutally took his life with a Spanish saber that he had carried with him. After eliminating his first enemy, Li quickly identified the second victim, called Pretty Feet Hadi, a master's student in the Department of Foreign Languages. After waiting near Zhang Wenkeng, he used the same method to make an appointment with the victim. When he arrived at the victim's home, he first turned the speaker volume to maximum, and then they had sex as they had previously agreed upon. After tying up the victim's hands and feet, rendering him unable to resist, Li Yizhang had sex with him while making cuts on his body. He then took the victim's life with a knife. Next, Li tracked down and killed his third and fourth enemies in the same manner. The third victim was the oldest and strongest of them all and had been the most brutal to Li Yizhang at the time of the assault. After arranging an appointment with him in the same way, Li imposed all his grief, indignation, and fury onto him. After killing the man, Li was still enraged and cut off his genitals, throwing them into the garbage. However, even after eliminating these four people, Li Yizhang's inner hatred did not disappear. On the contrary, he derived pleasure from killing. Over the next 6 months, he made appointments with gay men through the internet and killed them without any reason, using the same method. Li Yizhang brutally murdered 6 men in just 6 months. From a man seeking revenge to a gay serial killer, Li Yizhang's personal information was eventually disclosed during the police investigation revealed Li Yizhang's past, but to the surprise of many, being violated by a stranger was only the spark that set off his killing spree. The root of all the tragedies had been buried as early as his childhood. Li Yizhang was born in 1980 and was raised by his grandmother in Shandong when he was young, as his family already had 2 boys early on. When he was old enough to go to school, Li Yizhang's aunt, who loved him dearly, arranged for him to attend primary school in Beijing. At the beginning of junior high school, Li Yizhang had to return to his parents in Changji City, Xinjiang, as his aunt was having family issues. His nightmare began during this period. Li Yizhang's poor parents were ordinary workers, and his 2 brothers grew up with the parents. Li Yizhang, feeling like an outsider, could not get the recognition and love of his family members. What made it even more unbearable was that his mother suffered from severe mental illness and would smash things for no reason. She often beat and scolded young Li Yizhang. After he entered high school, his mother's mental illness gradually stabilized, but after caring for her for a long time, his father became irritable and developed a drinking problem. When he was drunk, Li Yizhang was often beaten by his father or even chased around the house with a kitchen knife. The unhealthy family atmosphere left Li Yizhang with an incurable psychological shadow. His personality changed gradually, and his parents' beatings made him increasingly violent. Whenever he felt troubled, he would resort to violence. While studying in middle school, Li Yizhang discovered that his sexual orientation was somewhat different. He did not like his female classmates but was very interested in his male classmates. He developed an interest in Tang, a classmate, and they became close after Li's efforts to befriend him. However, when Li Yizhang wanted to take the relationship further, Tang rejected him and even showed contempt. Li Yizhang was not only afraid of losing Tang but also frightened that Tang would tell others about his homosexuality. So, after his final confession was rejected, he killed Tang. On February 21, 1994, 10 days later, Tang's body, which had been stabbed more than 20 times, was found in a plantation next to the campus. Li Yizhang, who had had a dispute with Tang, was soon listed as a suspect, but no direct evidence was found. In addition, Li Yizhang was mentally tough and did not show any flaws under the police's inquiry, so the case remained unsolved. One night in December of the same year, Li Yizhang was walking alone on the street when he collided with a man about 30 years old. However, the man did not blame him and kindly asked if he was hurt. Faced with the man's gentle attitude, Li Yizhang became less cautious and went to a restaurant with him for a drink. There, Li confided in the man about the grievances he had suffered at home for many years. Li Yizhang, 15 at the time, apparently overestimated his tolerance for alcohol and woke up the next day to find that he had been violated. The indignant Li Yizhang was determined to retaliate, so he found that he brought a knife from home and waited at that intersection every day after school for the man who had violated him to reappear, but he had never seen the man again. This humiliating experience made Li Yizhang even more violent, and because he found that he liked but also hated men at the same time, in 1999, Liang was admitted to Beijing University of Technology with the second place in the college entrance examination in Changji City. When he finally escaped from his family, he was relaxed, and all kinds of fashionable places in the metropolis attracted his attention. He began going to internet cafes with classmates frequently. Once, he accidentally clicked into a website called Purple Boy, which is a large gay dating website. Li Yizhong found groups of people similar to him and started to indulge in it. At that time, Li Yizhong would spend a lot of money on internet fees, but the money sent by his family became less and less, and he did not want to ask his parents for money, so he chose to go out to work to earn money. He worked part-time into restaurant chains, one in the morning and one in the evening, often working 12 hours a day. Gradually, Li Jiang, who worked for long hours to earn money and indulged in internet cafes, soon felt that his studies had been left behind, and it became hard for him to keep up with his schoolwork. At the end of the second semester, he failed several courses, and in the third semester, he didn't want to take his exams. Dealing with the financial and university pressure, he finally dropped out of college in the third year. In June 2002, Li Yizhong, who was active in numerous homosexual forums, met a netizen named Tang Jiangxia. Tang Jiangxia was rich and 7 or 8 years older than Li Yizhong. He worked in a foreign company with a decent salary. He took care of Li Yizhong generously, and Li Yizhong quickly fell in love and began to do house chores for Tang Jiangxia. In September of the same year, after dropping out of school, Li Yizhong moved to Tang Jiangxia's home and lived with him. Fearing that Li Jiang would be lonely at home, Tang Jiangxia bought him a puppy as a companion, and he even gave Li Yizhong a sum of money to encourage him to start his own clothing business. This temporarily wholesome time once made Li Yizhong let go of the hatred in his heart and become gentle and outgoing. However, the good times did not last very long, and not long after they were together, Tang Jiangxia slowly started to ignore Li Jiang. Later, he introduced Li Jiang to some of his other gay partners, and after they had sex, he would give Li Jiang a bit of money as compensation. This made Li Jiang both sad and embarrassed. He felt that Tang Jiangxia had betrayed him, and in order to get Tang Jiangxia's heart back, Li Yizhong began to frequent gay bars and had sex with other men. He thought it was some kind of revenge for Tang Jiangxia's infidelity, and that Tang Jiangxia would be jealous when he saw his betrayal. Little did he know that Tang Jiangxia did not care about his relationships with other people at all, which made Li Jiang even more depressed and disheartened. Li Jiang realized that Tang Jiangxia only saw him as a casual partner, and he didn't love him but merely used him as a toy. This made Li Jiang more and more disgusted. What was more cruel is that his revenge not only failed to get the result he wanted, but Tang Jiangxia also broke up with him. This absurd relationship finally came to an abrupt end, and it was during this time, when Li Jiang was drinking to drown his sorrows, that he was brutally tortured by 4 men, frequently being abused by his parents during his childhood, assaulted by a stranger when he was a teen, and abandoned by his lover when he was an adult, all kinds of accumulated pain. He broke out at this moment, already having committed a murder in high school. He once again chose to kill the person who had humiliated him. He was deeply attracted to men, yet deeply hurt by them, so he thought that all homosexuals should be killed, and he began his murders. In a later interview, he admitted that he was controlled by the hatred he had accumulated for a long time, and he actually felt a long-lost peace after his imprisonment. In October 2003, the Beijing People's Procuratorate formally filed a lawsuit against Li Yizhong, and in November of the same year, Li Yizhong was sentenced to death for murder and deprived of political rights for life. On the morning of August 20, 2004, Li Yizhong was escorted to the execution ground at the First Intermediate People's Court of Beijing for execution. Before his departure, Li Yizhong was very calm. After pressing his fingerprint on the legal document, he said politely, "Thank you, Judge." Li Yizhong's story has sparked social concern about sexual minorities. He was certainly an unfortunate man, but when faced with humiliation and violence, he did not want to resort to the law but chose to take revenge into his own hands. It was undoubtedly impulsive and foolish, especially when the knife in his hand was pointing at innocent people. The crimes he committed become even more unforgivable. What do you think of this case? Feel free to interact with us in the comments section. First and foremost, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch my video. Your support means the world to me, and I cannot thank you enough for choosing to spend your valuable time here. Every single view, like, comment, and share that you give is an incredible source of motivation and encouragement. It's because of viewers like you that I am inspired to continue creating content, improving with each video, and striving to bring even more exciting, helpful, and entertaining material to this channel. Your engagement is truly the lifeblood of this community. Whether you're here for the first time or have been following me for a while, I appreciate your presence and involvement so much. Your comments and feedback are what help me grow and push myself to deliver better content with every upload. Knowing that you enjoy and find value in what I create gives me a sense of purpose and drives me to keep moving forward. I want to kindly invite you to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. By doing so, you won't miss out on any of the new content that I have in store for you. I'm committed to bringing you videos that will not only entertain but also inspire, educate, and make your day a little brighter. Subscribing is a simple way to stay connected, and it ensures that we can continue this journey together. Additionally, by subscribing, you become a part of this growing community where your voice matters. I always welcome your thoughts, ideas, and suggestions, and I make it a priority to read your comments because they are invaluable to me. Whether it's ideas for new videos, feedback on what you liked or didn't like, or just sharing your thoughts, I'm here for it all. Together, we can create a space that feels positive, engaging, and full of meaningful conversations. So please, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button now. If you're already subscribed, I want to give you an extra special thank you for being a part of this journey with me. Your support, no matter how small it may seem, is making a huge difference, and I'm incredibly grateful. Also, don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll always know when I've uploaded something new. Trust me, there's a lot of exciting content on the way, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Once again, thank you so much for being here, for watching, and for supporting this channel in any way you can. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I can't wait to see what the future holds as we continue to grow together. Let's keep the momentum going, so make sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Wishing you all the best and looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and stay tuned.